It is good to be with you today. 5 months ago, this congregation responded to the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others by standing a week-long silent vigil in front of the church. And when others, including town leaders and members of our police force, gathered with us, our numbers stretched all the way down the street, all the way down the town green. Days later, a rally on that same green protested systemic violence against Black lives. And I offered these words: gracious God of many names, who holds our conscience in gentle, strong, and tenacious arms that will not let us go. Hoping is not enough. Praying is not enough. Dreaming is not enough. Sending our love to the suffering is not enough. The time has come to act. 400 years is enough. The work before us is here and now. Be with us as we set ourselves to the task, for we will need strength to overturn the dominion of violence in our society. And we will need courage to face our fears of what we will see when we look into our own hearts. And we will need humility to accept that we cannot do this alone. 5 months ago, we took to our knees children, parents, teens, firefighters, veterans, teachers, students, witnesses all to our shared grief and outrage. We took to our knees for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and we thought of George Floyd and the death of the innocents. All this we did in the name of love. All this we did in the name of love for others, in the name of love because we could not find it in the workings of the world around us. We could not find the love of others. All this we did in the name of love for others so that we might begin to love ourselves again. And this was the beginning of this congregation's commitment to understand why this violence was happening and what we might do to stop it. So a group of us volunteered to begin that process, and then in turn, help lead the congregation into its next steps. And while we were all white and have approached these experiences as a necessity for whites to get at the roots of our own history and our capacity for all possible forms of oppression and do something about it, we understand that we cannot rely on our non-white friends and family to help us with that work. We read and watched and listened and reflected together. Some of us still keep vigil. Some of us have joined other demonstrations in other towns. Some had illuminating and welcome conversations with our respective chiefs of police in our different towns. Some are attending right now very powerful seminars on our country's history. We all delved into the history of our Unitarianism and Universalism to come to terms with how racism and white supremacy played a part in it. We learned about our denomination's efforts to extricate us from the thinking and the attitudes of the past, and at the same time hold ourselves accountable for our present. We did this work with courage and with humility. And I am very, very grateful to have started this journey with such good and steady companions. So what we have to tell you is that we discovered we are living in a metaphorical underwater sea that is polluted and has been polluted for hundreds of years by racialization and colonialism fueled by white supremacy. It permeates every aspect of our lives, every decision, every encounter, our language, our everyday expectations, our sense of right and wrong and appropriate and mainstream. Without illumination, all these things serve to keep everyone submerged. Like fish who don't realize that they live in water, whites may not be aware of the sea around them, but apparently everyone else is. Whites think everything makes sense down here. We have been living in this polluted sea, depriving others of air and light and freedom for so long that we have forgotten there is any other way to live. It is not our fault that we are here. We were born here. The fault lies in wanting to stay here when we realize who we are and where we are and what we are missing. The fault lies in wanting to keep others under in this suffocating sea with us. There is another way to live and to thrive if we just reach for it. Earlier in the service, we talked about our principles and our purposes. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of each person. We affirm and promote justice and equality and compassion and acceptance and the search for truth, of conscience, of peace, of freedom, and of our place in all things. This work is holy and aspirational. This work is grounded in love for others, respect for others, the necessity of others, the inspiration of others. None of this is possible. None of this is achievable without knowing where we begin. Why we see the world the way we do. We can't get anywhere in this journey without understanding that fundamental thing about each of us. We will not change the world in our lifetimes, but we can alter the course of our lives and those that we meet on our journeys. The world will not change. The arc of the universe will not bend unless we join in beginning to make it so for the generations that follow us. But let's return to the now and to what is possible now. Well, I tell you, it will not be possible to drain the sea that we live in. But it will be possible to teach each other how to swim, to teach each other how to visit the surface and breathe the air and glimpse the sky and know in the cells of our being that it is there and that it will wait for us. We can teach each other to swim and do it with strength and with courage and with humility and with love. Thank you.